Michael Shikha Niketan Higher Secondary Government Sponsored Co-ed English Medium School has taken an excellent initiative of teaching and make our students learn day-to-day lessons through audio and video in our YouTube channel. Teachers of all the subjects are working hard to enhance these online classes in the midst of this pandemic situation. It is a request to all the teachers, students and guardians to click the bell icon and subscribe our channel.
Of some metals and their alloy. Actually this portion was at the beginning of your chapter, but I am doing this at the end portion of the chapter. You have to just read them from your book and you have to just memorize them, and you have to write obviously in your exam. So we have 4 metals actually: aluminium, zinc, copper, and number 4 is iron. So we have to read their uses and alloys. Alloy means several kinds of metals there are in a fixed proportion, and by mixing them, by combining them, we get a new type of metal obviously, and which are very much useful to us in different ways. Okay. So from aluminium we can use directly by using aluminium, by making aluminium foil, cooking utensils, electrical wire, body of aeroplane, and by using aluminium we can we can make this alloy which is known as duralumin. Okay. So within duralumin, apart from aluminium, there are copper, magnesium and manganese. Actually we need the composition, that means which are the components present in the alloy and what is their percentage. But the factor percentage is not important for class 10 level. So for you, the presence of other metals, their names or their symbol is important, is just for you, not the percentage level. So if the question are given in this way, that duralumin is an example of alloy of dash, that means you have to write the name of the metal. Okay. Or you may have some options also, and the right option you have to give a tick there. So duralumin is made up of aluminium, copper, magnesium and manganese. These 4 metals are mixed in a fixed proportion to make duralumin. Okay. And another important alloy of aluminium is alnico, and there are aluminium, iron, nickel and cobalt. Okay. The next metal is zinc, and we know that for galvanization purpose, to make the battery in the electrode and the electrochemical cell, we need zinc. So zinc is very actually important industrially, and the very common alloy of zinc is brass. Okay. And brass contains of zinc as well as copper. And also another important alloy is German silver, which is also very common to us, and it contains copper, zinc as well as nickel. Okay. And the third metal is copper, and copper uses in coin preparation, in utensils making, sculptures, in making of conductors and electrical wire. And the most common alloy of copper is bronze, which is made up of copper and tin. And the second alloy is bell metal, which is made up of tin and copper. I have written here copper before because the percentage of copper is much more in bronze with respect to bell metal. Okay, here the percentage of copper is almost 92%. Okay, and in case of bell metal, the percentage of copper is almost 8%. Okay, so 2 to 8% basically, that means less than 10%. So that is why the composition, the percentage in composition is different, and that's why the product is different. Bronze is a alloy of copper and bell metal is another alloy of copper. Okay, you can write any one from these two. If the question is give a name of alloy of copper, okay, you can write bronze or you can write bell metal. So these are the alloys of these 3 metals. Now I have iron. We have the last metal, that is iron. Basically, if we have only the iron, then it has no practical use. We have to mix another component to make it usable. So, we have to use here carbon. Okay. So, according to the percentage of carbon, we can classify the iron into 3 categories. Number 1 is cast iron or pig iron, number 2 is steel, and number 3 is wrought iron. Okay. So, carbon is present in maximum percentage in the cast iron or pig iron, and in the minimum percentage in the wrought iron. Okay. So, cast iron is used to make machineries, pipes and railings, etc. Steel is used to prepare rail, wheel, weapon, vehicles, surgical instruments, and wrought iron is basically used to make chain, wire, anchor, nail, etc. Okay. You will have many other uses in your textbook. I have just mentioned these points here, and if we want to prepare any alloy of iron, then we have the most common alloy here, that is stainless steel. Stainless steel is the most common alloy of iron, which is made up of iron as well as we need chromium, nickel and carbon. And also there is another alloy of iron, that is invar, where iron, nickel and carbon is present. Okay, so we should learn about the 3 categories of iron here basically, and we should remember this point that cast iron contains maximum percentage of carbon and wrought iron contains minimum percentage of carbon. Okay, and we have to read the use of iron on the basis of these 3 categories. Okay, so this is done. Chapter I am discussing here some questions of this chapter actually. So these are not only the questions from metallurgy, you have more questions from test paper or question bank. I just have selected 10 questions here, and the first 5 are these. Number 1, write differences between calcination and roasting. I have told this thing in the previous class actually. Calcination and roasting are the 2 process we use for the extraction of metal. So, if we want to write the difference in between these 2 processes, we can mention that calcination is a process where the ore is to be heated in presence of limited amount of air. Okay, and where roasting is a process where we can apply excess heat in presence of excess amount of air. And number 2, calcination is done basically over the carbonate type of ore, whereas roasting is done over the sulphide type of ore. So, what I have told, that calcination is a process where heating is applied but in presence of limited air. Okay, for calcination heating is done in presence of limited air. Okay, and for roasting this is done in presence of excess amount of air. Okay, and for calcination we done it over the carbonate kind of ore. Okay, over the carbonate kind of ore we can apply calcination process, and for roasting generally we done it over the sulphide type of ore. Okay, these are the 2 differences. Next question is, malachite is an ore of which metal? Malachite is an ore of copper. Okay, I told that we have to read the name of the ore as well as their chemical formula. So, this is the name, malachite is the name of the ore copper, and the chemical formula is CuCO3.CuOH2. Okay, this whole thing is the chemical formula of malachite. Okay, the next question is, write the conditions of corrosions. Okay, what are the conditions of corrosions? The first point is, we should have moist air in our available atmosphere. That means moist air means I mentioned that in the atmosphere we should have water vapor as well as oxygen. So, moist air is the first point. Second point is the availability of pollutants. Pollutants like it may be nitrogen, oxides of nitrogen, it may be oxides of sulfur. Okay, so the presence of pollutants is also important. Number 3 is the presence of the metal within the electrochemical series. Okay, we already read about the electrochemical series. So where the metal is metal's position within the series, it is important for corrosion. Okay, if the metal in the lower position of the series, then we know that the metal is not so much reactive. So there we can see corrosion after a long time. Okay, but if the metal is present in at the higher position of the series, then it will start to corrode very quickly. Okay, so it is important the position of the metal within the electrochemical series. And number fourth point is the presence of any salt, any foreign salt. Foreign means that is not present within the medium, but if it comes from any outside source, then we also have to consider it. Suppose I mentioned that in presence of chloride ion, rusting becomes faster. Okay, so sometimes any kind of foreign elements make the whole process faster. Okay, so I am repeating the 4 points. Number 1, presence of moist air. Number 2, presence of pollutants like nitrogen dioxide, like oxides of sulfur. Number 3, the position of the metal we are considering here, where in the electrochemical series. Okay, and number 4 is the presence of any foreign type of ions or foreign type of elements. Okay, and if you want to give an example, you can write that rusting becomes faster in presence of chloride ion. The next question is, all ores are minerals, but the reverse is not true. Reverse is not true means all minerals are not the ores. Okay, explain with example. I also have explained this before. Actually, mineral are the natural things. Okay, whatever we mine from below the earth's crust, that is mineral. If it's contain any kind of metal, that we can consider it as the metal, as the mineral of that corresponding metal. But if we consider, if we want to consider the mineral as the ore, then we have to be careful about certain points. That means if we want to use the mineral as the ore of the particular metal, then we should be careful on some points, like we should extract the metal from that mineral in a very convenient way. Okay, in a very low cost process it should be, and low cost process, and obviously low effort should be applied in the extraction process, and also the ore should be available in the nature in a vast amount. So if it maintains all these points, then we can say it as ore, but otherwise it will remain as one of the mineral of that metal. So if we want to give an example, I told about iron pyrites, that is Fe(S)2. Okay, Fe(S)2 is iron pyrites, which is one of the minerals of iron, but we can't use it as one of the ore of iron because it is available in nature, but the process of extraction from iron pyrites is not so convenient. So that is why we can't use it as one of the ore of iron, and instead of iron pyrites we can use hematite, that is Fe2O3, or magnetite, that is Fe3O4. Okay, both of hematite and magnetite can be used as the ore of iron, but not Fe(S)2, that is iron pyrites. We can't use this as ore. Okay, and you can write any other example if you have. So it is over you. And the next question is difference between minerals and ore. Whatever I have told in our previous question, you have to write the same thing in the form of difference, in the form of distinguish, how we distinguish minerals from ores. You have to write it in point way. Okay, So you can also add the examples here. Next, come to the next question. Why does a new aluminum vessel lose its shine? Or we can ask the question in a different way, that is, why aluminum is not corroded when exposed to moist air. Now I have already explained this thing. Actually, when we keep a aluminum vessel in a open area, then in presence of moist air, that means in presence of water vapor and oxygen, as aluminum is very much reactive and its position is at the higher in the electrochemical series, and that is why it is very much reactive. So aluminum reacts with the atmospheric oxygen to form aluminum oxide. Okay, aluminum reacts with the atmospheric oxygen to form aluminum oxide, and the layer of this aluminum oxide forms a thin coating over the metal surface, and that is why aluminum vessel can easily lose its natural metallic shine. Okay. And the next, in case of the next question, we just have to add that this coating of aluminum oxide prevent the further penetration of oxygen over the metal. Okay. So this actually prevents the corrosion of the metal further. If we give if aluminum oxide normally creates a layer or a coating over the metal, and also there was one thing, that is anodizing. If we ourselves give a coating of aluminum oxide over the metal surface, then it is known as anodizing, which also prevent the penetration of oxygen in the metal. Okay. So the main thing is, just due to the formation of aluminum oxide, aluminum loses its metallic shine very fast. Okay, because the process is very fast. The next thing is, when exposed to air, why copper surface develops a green patches and how are they removed? Now in case of copper, as copper in the lower position of the electrochemical series, and that is why it is very much less reactive, and that is why in the presence of atmospheric oxygen or moisture for a prolonged period of time, then only the green patches will form over the metal surface, and the green patches is formed due to the formation of basic copper carbonate. Okay, basic copper carbonate. So this green patches is the patches of CuCO3 dot CuOH whole 2. Okay, so this basic copper carbonate actually form green in color, and that is why a patch of greenish layer is to be found over the copper surface. And how are they removed? Any kind of acid. We do not need hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid, just the organic acids present in our domestic things like lemon juice, like tamarind juice. If we rub the surface using that things, the green patches will easily be removed. Okay. So using any kind of organic acid which are available to us, we can easily remove these things, okay, these patches. Now the next question is related to these two questions, that why lemon juice or any kind of citrus fruit or any type of pickle should not be kept in the metallic container. Okay, it may be copper container, it may be zinc or aluminum container also. In case of zinc and aluminum, the process will be very faster, and both the metals are very much reactive in nature. In case of copper, the process will be slower with respect to these two metals, but it will happen, certainly it will happen. And what is the cause behind the question? Because if we keep these citrus fruits or lemon juice or pickle, actually they contain organic acids. Okay, all these things contains organic acid, and these organic acids easily can dissolve the aluminum oxide. It also can dissolve zinc oxide. It also can dissolve this basic copper carbonate. So all these dissolved metals will be present in our food, and if we intake this food, then definitely it will be harmful for our body. Okay, so we should not keep this kind of food elements in the metallic container. The next question is why aluminium is not extracted by carbon reduction method. Carbon reduction method is generally for the metals which are present in the middle position of the electrochemical series basically. So, aluminium is at the higher position of the series. It is included in the light metals list. So, that is why aluminium is not extracted by carbon reduction. We have to use the electrolysis process. As aluminium is very much reactive, and the combination of aluminium and oxygen, that means carbon reduction method is applicable for the metals where oxides are generated, and over the oxide we can apply this carbon reduction method. But if we once prepare aluminium oxide, that is Al2O3, it is very much stable, and using just carbon as reducing agent, we can't separate aluminium and oxygen. So, ultimately we can't get aluminium from its oxide. So, that is why not only aluminium, any member from the list which are in the higher position, that means it may be sodium, it may be potassium, aluminium, it may be magnesium, all these we can extract just using electrolysis process, but not with carbon reduction method. Okay, this carbon reduction method only applicable for the least reactive or which are in the middle position in the series. Okay, for that members the process is only applicable, not for the higher members. And the last question is, why do gold metals look new even after several years of use? Because gold are in the lowest position in the electrochemical series. There are gold, there are platinum, silver, all this present in the lowest position of the electrochemical series, and that is why they are not so much reactive, and gold is basically very much less reactive in nature. In presence of moisture, in presence of any atmospheric reagent, gold does not react, and not only this, gold remains unreactive in presence of acid also. So, that is why after several years of use, there is no change in the shine of gold materials. Okay. So, these are just some few questions from the chapter, and if you go through the chapter from your textbook properly, you can answer any questions.
Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment. Subscribe. And do share the video among your friends.